Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamerica.com, the program that shows you how to turn your problems into solutions and your obstacles into opportunities and make your dreams come true. We're on our 24th year on Voice America. I've been on many other networks, but I've stayed steady with Voice America, and they have wonderful programming. And today is a perfect example of amazing inspiration, overcoming challenges against all odds. And today we are talking to Andre Norman, and he is the ambassador of hope. His journey is nothing short of extraordinary, from facing an over 100-year prison sentence to becoming a fellow at Harvard University. He has defied all odds to become a globally renowned speaker, strategist, and consultant. As founder of Second Chance University, Andre is dedicated to inspiring and empowering individuals to rebuild their lives and achieve their full potential. His work has revolutionized correctional systems around the world and touched countless lives across the globe. And a little bit more about Andre. Um, he gives us practical strategies and his personal journey, overturning an 105-year prison sentence to becoming a Harvard Fellow. And he empowers his audiences to overcome obstacles, navigate change, unlock their true potential. And his profound impact, global reach, and unwavering dedication has made him a trusted expert for personal and professional transformation. Welcome, Andre. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure being here with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where to start. There's so many questions. I think I'm going to start with maybe the beginning of what happened. And of course, we want to know how you got from where you were to where you are. But I think the most important thing for the audience in this interview is to find out how you were able to get through those obstacles, those challenges, those times when you didn't have hope, but something in you triggered. And I think this will be so inspirational for people. So start us at the beginning of how this all began.
Well, my mom married a high school sweetheart, and she had two kids. Um, then her husband went to prison for robbing banks, and she met my dad. And she had four more kids. So six kids, mom, dad, everything's great. Except for my dad had a habit of beating up my mom. So I grew up in a domestic violence household. Then
Mm.
when I got old enough to go to school, I started going to school, and it was great. Got to play with a bunch of kids, run around, have fun. Until one day I came home from school and kids started throwing rocks at our bus, calling us names. I went to school during the busing crisis of Boston, so I didn't understand why kids were throwing rocks at me, why they were mad at me, why they were upset that I didn't even go to a white school. My bus just went to a white neighborhood. And so we went through the busing crisis. And after the busing crisis, my mom and dad split up. So now I have a single mom, six kids living in the city. You know that story. So we move around, end up at a new school. They gave me a test. I was in the third grade. And they found out I was illiterate in the third grade. Couldn't read, write, or count on any of the levels I should have. But back then, and still to this day, they had a thing called the dummy class. They said it's not a problem. They just put you in a room with kids who can't read and write, and they just close the door.
Mm.
One day, my dummy teacher didn't come to school, so they put us in another classroom. I was in with a lady named Miss Oliver, and she challenged me to learn, and she confronted me about my behavior, my attitude, and she said, not on her watch. Then she took me out of the dummy class, and she put me in her class. She took the time to teach me my learning style. And
Mm.
I wasn't a dummy. I just learned differently. And by the sixth grade, I was on par with the other kids. Everything was great. I caught up academically. In sixth grade, I found out I was poor. In elementary school, you don't know you're poor. Everybody's just eating lunch and running around and playing. In middle school, they dress, they have clothes, they have bags, they have bikes, they have all this stuff that I didn't know anything about. And I was made fun of for not having it. My mother told me she couldn't afford it. So back then, I started selling reefer in the park after school to make money to buy clothes, to buy food, and just to take care of myself. And by the time I got to high school, I was full time in the street. I had a dream. I used to play the trumpet. And then when I got to high school, my friends told me playing the trumpet was stupid. Black kids didn't play the trumpet. You couldn't go anywhere with that. So they convinced me to not play the trumpet. When I gave up my trumpet, I gave up my passion, my purpose, my everything. I just became just another face in the crowd. And one day I ended up in court and I got a bunch of time for committing a lot of robberies. And they sent me to maximum security prison at 18. And when I got there, it was just like, this is where you end up. My mother used to always tell me, every time you get in trouble, you take power away from me and you give it to them. I never knew who them was until I got to the prison. And then I realized that I had done opposite of what my mother always told me to do. And this is what I got for it.
How did you move through the system, Andre?
The
How did it
system,
not harden you?
oh,
Or did it?
hardened is a relative term. You know what I'm saying? So I have really tough skin. I have really short patience. You know what I'm saying? So hardened is a tough, it's a different word. I went through the system, and if something hardens you, that means you didn't get the lesson. So I got a lot of lessons while I was in prison, good, bad, and indifferent, on how to read people, on how to assess situations, on communication, definitely, on hand-to-hand combat, on different things about myself, my breaking points. I've watched people go crazy and try to commit suicide, and I got to watch this over and over. So you get to learn what is the key root in somebody becoming depressed to the point of suicidal ideation. You get to learn what is something that triggers somebody who's been neglected and cast off. How does somebody who's been molested, beat, or robbed or hurt all their lives function in a day-to-day society? So what they actually put me in wasn't prison. It was a giant learning lab with a 40-foot wall around it. And it took me a while to realize that I was in a learning lab, not just a prison.
So, Andre, what did you learn when you say you learned what people's breaking points were? You know, you learned what people couldn't tolerate anymore. Were they all different, or was there one commonality?
Loss of hope. Loss of, you can take somebody's hope, you take everything from them. So, I mean, there's times where, I mean, we used to just torture each other. There was a guy one time, we're in solitary confinement, and the guy next door to me was a friend. And there was another guy in the tier that people used to extort all the time. So at one point, they were going to extort the guy and rob him for his radio. And my neighbor, who was a friend, tipped the guy off not to let his radio be loaned out that week. So he lends his radio every Friday. The guys decided this Friday we're going to keep it. And my neighbor knew it, so he told the guy. So when Friday came, he didn't lend the radio out. So the guy's like, how did he know not to give us the radio? And they figured out my neighbor. So they started banging, like they had this thing they would do if they were bothering you. They would bang on your walls and won't let you sleep. So 24 hours, they're banging on your walls, they're throwing feces in front of your door, they're screaming at you, 24 hours, 7 days. And this guy's in there for like 6 days, just tolerating it, no problem. Then one day, I came to the door, I said, listen, leave him alone, give him a break. They're like, no, Andre, he's out of order. I said, give him a break. So they stopped for 24 hours. And for that 24 hours, you got to make phone calls. You got to take a shower without a problem. After 24 hours, they went back and did it again. And that's what snapped him, because he had hope that it was over. When the hope was snatched away, when they confront him with hostility, he responded in kind. But once he got hold of hope that it was over, and he's like, okay, I made it through, then they snatched the hope away, he cracked. And I've watched countless people, the absence of hope or the presence of hope, the difference that it makes.
Andre, how did you keep your hope?
I mean, I didn't really have hope, so I was in there surviving. I wasn't really super hopeful, like, hey, this is going to get better. That's what prison will make you do, is day-to-day survival. And I see people who say, well, I've never been to prison, but you go to work every day and you hate it. You go home from work every day and you hate it. You know what I'm saying? You go to these different places and circumstances every single week and every day and you hate it. So you have your own prison. Some people smoke, some people drink, some people gamble, some people do a lot of stuff. Workaholics is a addiction that we accept. Sugar is addiction we accept. So people have all these habits to escape what? The reality of their lives.
So when you say you didn't have hope, you were just going through the motions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I woke up every day. I mean, it was maximum security prison, 40-foot wall, 1,500 men. Everybody's here for almost life. And there's not a lot of hope in that. So you just learn to just go through your day. I know people who've been married for 20 years. The last 10 has been horrible, but they get up every day. They brush their teeth. They eat breakfast together. They go out the door. They spend their days at work. They come home. They manage to have dinner. and they watch TV or do a newspaper together, and they go to sleep and they hate each other. They do it every day. It's like there's no hope there. It's just routine.
Hmm. Mm. So, where was how long were you in?
I spent a total of 14 years in prison.
Hmm. How did you get from hopeless to Harvard? How did that happen?
I went hopeless to Harvard is when I first got to prison, you adapt to your environment. So my environment was chaotic. It was prison. So I said, if I'm going to be here, I want to be the boss. So my whole goal, my purpose was become the boss of the prison. That was my day-to-day focal point. Then I got to number 3. I got to be the number 3 gang leader in the state, and everything's going well in my mindset. And then I had a chance to become number 1. And I had the opportunity was right in front of me, and I was going to take it because this is what I always wanted. And right before I did, God spoke to me. And God said, Andre, don't do this life choice. And I said, God, why are you speaking to me? I mean, all of my life, there's been no God. When kids threw rocks at me, my mom got beat up. Kids made fun of me in the 6th grade. They took my trumpet. You've never been there for me. Go see your people. Leave me alone. And God just said, don't do it. Life choice. God won the argument. I go back to my cell. I didn't do the thing that was in front of me. I said, well, what am I going to do now? If I can't be a psychopath, what's the point of being in prison? Is what I said to myself. I said, well, what do I want to do different? I said, I want to go home. So for the first time, after 6 years of being locked up, I said I wanted to be free. And this is what a lot of people mess up. I said free, then I realized most people who get free come back to prison. It's called recidivism. I watch 100 people go home. I watch 70 come back. So I said, free doesn't work. So I said, why doesn't free work? I said, because everybody plans on getting free. Nobody plans on staying free. So free is the parking lot. Once you hit the parking lot, you've achieved your goal. So I said, I don't want to be free because it doesn't work. I want to be successful because successful people don't come here. And I didn't know what successful was, where it looked like, or how it came. I just said, I want to be successful. And I deduced successful people go to college. So I said, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to be successful, and that'll be that. And so I made the goal to go to college. So I picked the name of a school called Harvard University. And so I picked Harvard as my school because it's the only school I knew the name of.
And you were able to take those classes in prison.
So every day I woke up and I had one goal. It used to be the boss of the prison. Now my new goal is to go to Harvard University.
Andre, just backing up for a minute. Being the boss in the prison means that all the inmates like respected you. You were like the lead.
Yeah.
But there's a problem with that, and there's a reason you didn't do it. So tell our audience, I mean, you could have done that. Why? And God spoke to you. Why did you not do that? And what would have happened if you did?
Had I done that, what I was going to do, I would have had a life sentence in jail. I would at least got a life sentence, and I'd have been at war for the rest of my time. I have a friend who's in jail now who had a chance to do something I did, and he took the step. He went through the door, and that was 1995. And from 1995 to today, he's been at war with the prison system and people inside of it. So luckily, when I got to my door, God was like, don't go through that door, because once you go through it, this is your last chance. I opted out. So I could have been the king of the prison with a life sentence, because to prisoners, committing a murder in jail is the greatest thing you can do. It's the ultimate status symbol. And so that's what they tell us. The toughest guys all have murders in jail. So I'm trying to be one of the tough guys. And had I committed a murder, they'd have gave me a life sentence, and I would still be there, 58 years old, sitting in a prison cell.
Let's go to the Harvard part. It's remarkable. When you say you chose Harvard, they were offering courses to people who were
no, I was sitting in solitary confinement, and I realized that I wanted to be successful. So I realized I needed to pick a college, and the only one I knew the name of was Harvard. So I just told myself in solitary confinement in my cell, I'm going to go home, I'm going to go to Harvard, and I'm going to be successful. And that was the baseline strategy. Then when I came out of my cell the next day, I told all my friends, I'm going home, I'm going to Harvard, I'm going to be successful. They looked at me like I lost my mind. Right. They're like, Dre, you can't go to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? You're black, you're a gang leader, you're violent, You can't read. Your family's poor. They told me all the reasons. And it started sounding like my friends from the ninth grade who stole my trumpet. I heard this story before. So I said, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to listen to me. I went back in my room. I looked in the mirror. I said, what's inside of me that's stopping this from happening? Then I said, am I willing to do the work for the thing that say I want? So I went back to school, got my GED. I went to counseling. I went to therapy. I went to mental health counseling. I went to drug rehab, even though I didn't have a drug problem. But all of my friends, most of my family do, so I needed to be able to talk to them. So I went to NA, AA, Big Book, 12-step, just to learn how to communicate with the people from my community, because a lot of them have addiction issues, and I didn't know how to speak their language. And so I just kept going to programs every single day. Then I met an Orthodox Jewish rabbi who became my #1 mentor, Natan Schaefer. And I met 2 nuns, Sister Ruth and Sister Kathleen, who became angels in my life. And people just started coming, and they had been coming before, but I wasn't receptive to them.
Remarkable. We have a couple minutes before break. I want to go back to Harvard. So, how did you get accepted at Harvard? How did that work?
Once I got out, first I had to go to the law library, study the law. I overturned my case on appeal. So it's in the law books, Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Andre Norman. When I came home, Harvard was my goal.
I
And I
see you were
decided,
home.
yeah, I came home. I said my goal was Harvard, and I just worked every single day. And in 2016, there's a gentleman named Dr. Charles Ogletree, who was the top Black professor at the law school. I had met him previous years before. He was like a mentor to me, and he said, Andre, I've been seeing your work, and I want to offer you a fellowship to the law school.
Wow.
And I'll never forget it. I got my email, anorman@hls.harvard.edu. It was the greatest day of my life.
Unbelievable. So you won your case on appeal.
Yes.
So you were out. So that was a huge break.
Yes.
Right.
The thing with my case was, had I fought my case the day I walked in, I'd have walked out of jail in a year. But I didn't fight my case. I was too busy being in the environment.
Understand. Yeah. Remarkable. Tell people, we're going to have 2 more segments. Tell people how they can find your book and find your work, or maybe work with you in some way.
The easiest way to find my book is a place called Amazon. You go to Amazon, you can type in my name, Andre Norman, and it'll pop up. It's the Ambassador of Hope. And if you want to find us, you go to secondchanceuniversity.org or .com, same difference. And it'll take you to our website, and it'll share all the information about the work that we're doing, the work we've been doing. And thirdly, if you want to work with us, just send us an email. I mean, we love collaborating. I mean, if you're doing something similar, something different, if you're from Montana, you're from Mexico, I don't care. I work with anybody that wants to make the world a better place.
Oh, wonderful. And on that note, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Andre about Second Chance University, which is what he has created and designed and is very active in and is helping millions of people. So stay tuned. I'm talking to Andre Norman. And again, you can get his book. The book title is Ambassador of Hope, Turning Poverty and Prison into a Purpose-Driven Life. You're listening to The Patricia Raskin Show. I'm Patricia Raskin. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone, and we are back. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamerica.com, America's Voice. And we are talking to the amazing Andre Norman. His book title is Ambassador of Hope, Turning Poverty and Prison into a Purpose-Driven Life. His early life put him on the path to prison. Raised in poverty and surrounded by dysfunction, he gravitated to the neighborhood gang. His choices there led him to juvenile detention, to maximum security prison, with the sentences totaling over 100 years. And he became a dangerous gang leader. And then came the epiphany. And just before he was to be crowned king of the prison, he had a realization that he was about to become the king of nowhere. He decided there had to be a way out. He chose success through education. He set his sights on what others said was impossible, attending Harvard University. And now he has created his own Second Chances University. Welcome back, Andre. All right, what a story. Okay, tell us about Second Chances University.
Second Chance University was born in solitary confinement while I was sitting in a hole for 2.5 years, no sunlight, no windows, just a dark room, literally. And I was down there and I'm hearing people next door to me go crazy, have meltdowns, start taking medication, try to kill themselves. And it was just like, it was heart-wrenching for 2.5 years to be locked in an 8 by 10 foot cell with no sunlight. And then I started studying. I found a way to study. What I would do initially is I would say, what are the 30 baseball teams? And I write them on my wall. What are the 50 states? And you'd be surprised how many people don't know all 50 states just off the top of their head. So I'd be like, what are the 50 states? I forget Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Nebraska. And I would sit there. I know there's 50 of them. And I would sit there until I could get all 50. And then I said, okay, what are the 30 basketball teams? And I would just do stuff right on my wall and erase it, right on the wall. And I just did all kinds of mental games and gymnastics to keep my mind alive, because I'm listening to people around me just fade. And then I got a newspaper one day. And this is the beginning of Second Chance University, and a lot of the programming is I'd read the paper because I'm bored. I got nothing else to do. Then I read the paper maybe an hour. It's just, I got another 2 years in this cell, and I just got this one paper. It might be a month before I get another one. So I read the paper again. Then I read it again. Then I read the crosswords, the classifieds. Then I got to the point, I said, oh, there's a problem in South Boston around housing, or there's a problem in East Boston around homelessness, or there's a problem with break-ins in the North End. And I started saying to myself, how would I fix that? That became my new thing. How would I fix it? Then once I came up with my solution, then I would say, if I was the mayor, how would I fix it? If I was a landowner, how would I fix it? If I was a police officer, how would I fix it? If I was a church, how would I fix it? So I would sit there and come up with 20 different vantage points of how to solve one problem. And that's what I would do I did that for the last 2 years of my time in solitary. I would get the paper, find a problem, then look at it from the mayor's perspective, the governor's perspective, the homeless guy, the lady who lived next door, the little kid who has to walk by. I'm saying the mom, the dad, whatever the problem was, I would solve it from 20 perspectives, and I'd have it all on my wall. And they would all have to work together where it made sense to everybody. And I did that. And when I walked out of solitary, what I didn't understand is I created a solution expert into myself. I become a solution expert. You give me a problem, I can see it from 20 different vantage points and come up with a solution that benefits all 20.
Wow.
And I started it in solitary confinement, and that practice started my thinking and my process. So I know education matters. I know not just textbook. There's this thing called evidence-based programming. They got 10 guys in the program in Nebraska. They treat them like lab rats. They test them. They measure them, all the rest of that. And after 6 months or a year, they say, hey, these 10 guys in this setting in Nebraska produced this result. We stamp it as evidence-based. It works. You take that program from Nebraska, you drop it in Miami, where they speak Spanish, it's not going to work. You take that program, you drop it down in Alabama, where they country, it ain't going to work. You put it in New York, where they're moving 100 miles an hour, that program only works in Nebraska with those settings. So all of the programs that are floating around our country are called evidence-based programming. They might go to Sweden and get a program and bring it back, but we don't have the same inputs. I'm saying the same variables. but then it doesn't matter about the variables. It just matter, did it work where they studied it? So I came up with a concept called, experience-based. Does this thing work in real time? So I have experience-based programming where this is what works in New York. This is what works in South Carolina. This is what works in LA. So for lack of a better term, all Black folks ain't the same. All poor folks ain't the same. All white folks ain't the same. All cops ain't the same. So the inputs and the variables matter, but according to evidence-based program, it doesn't matter. I can go to Japan and get an evidence-based program and bring it back to Harlem, and they'll buy it because it's evidence-based. It's not experience-based. So I created experience-based programming so we can make a difference. So when people come to Second Chance U, it's experience-based. It's not textbook. This is not
Give us an example, Andre, of something that you're doing in your university.
We're teaching, we have a human trafficking school, a school of human trafficking. I got a young lady who's come out of human trafficking. She's 21. She was molested at 5 and 6, all the way through she was a teenager. When she finally got out of that house, she went to the street, and the people she went to weren't much better. So they took her and they put her in hotels, and they sold her as a prostitute. So from 15 to 20, that's what she's been doing, in and out of prison, in and out of trap houses, in and out of bad situations. She read my book in prison. When she came home, she called me. She sent me a message on social media. Andre, you're the way out. Show me. So I started talking to her, and I said, I've been helping her. And I said, who better than to build a platform around than somebody who's lived it? Not somebody who studied it, not somebody who's impacted by it, not somebody who feels sorry for the folks. She physically lived it. She was in the rooms having sex acts. She was one getting beat up. She was one going 3 days without eating. She was one who was forced on drugs. That's her life. So we're building a human trafficking school around her. And any girl or young lady that's been in this life, when they hear this information, it's going to resonate. Not make sense, not be logical. It's going to resonate because she lived it, and she's going to teach from the experience-based situation, not a research-based situation. When I interviewing 20 girls who came out of trafficking, when I'm talking to 20 pimps, we're talking to people who lived it, and we're building programs around them.
So people sign up for the course with her.
You would sign up for the course. Say you're a college student. You're at University of Maryland, and you're studying psychology. You're studying human trafficking. Everything you get is going to be textbook. It's going to be somebody's study of somebody. Again, the evidence-based. We interviewed 20 people, and the consensus is, I don't want consensus. I could care less about consensus. I care about what's really happening on the ground. So she's going to create, how do you identify people trying to get you into trafficking before you become a victim? What do you do when you first get in, you get pulled into the life? What do you do when you get deep into the life? What do you do once drugs come into play? What do you do once they transfer you state to state? How do you get out? Once you get out, how do you reframe your mind? She's going to teach it from when she was first approached all the way to the time when she got out. And she's going to teach, how do you get over being molested, and how do you not let that turn into prostitution and abandonment and signing up with people that don't have your best interests at heart. So we have real people with real experiences teaching from their real life stories. Not, I read a book and I'm going to rewrite a book.
Unbelievable.
No historical data.
And what is she doing now? She has a different life now?
Talk
about her life now.
We got her a job, and we got her a place to stay that's safe. You know what I'm saying? She was staying someplace and she wasn't safe. We got her a safe place to stay. She works in the call center in a restaurant, and she's going to be helping us build the human trafficking school. So if you want to help human traffic victims, listen to her. If you're in the trafficking system, you want to get out, you can listen to her. It's like I am the hope for a lot of the guys coming out of jail. Andre was in prison. I was in there. I was one of the worst people in there, and I found my way out, and I've come back, and I'm showing people the way. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to keep? You don't need to get rid of everything. You just need to get rid of some of the stuff. Everything isn't bad that I learned. I brought a lot of lessons home from prison. There's a lot of stuff I need to leave, but there's some stuff I need to bring with me. And I'm going to explain to the people coming home from prison, these are the components of your life from prison you need to bring with you. And these are the components you need to leave behind.
What would you say they are? Can you give us an example? What are the ones you need to leave, and what are the ones you need to bring?
It's okay to hit people. The systematic normalization of physical violence. It's normalized that if you see something happen in prison, you don't say anything. You mind your business. I teach that you are obligated to stand up and advocate for people who can't fight for themselves. That you are worthless and you went to jail as a punishment, and you did, and you can never be greater than that one thing. And I teach that you can. You have to leave the doubt and the low self-esteem behind. You survived 10, 20, 30 years in the most adverse situation. You have fortitude, you have strength, you have determination, you have gut, you have grit. Let's take that and apply it in another space. So many business people. I went to a training in London Business School in 2001, and I was in a room with Deutsche Bank and gave my presentation. They loved it. During lunch, the guy was telling me that, hey, a lot of our guys keep quitting and joining other companies. I said, how does that work? They said, well, they'll work for us 5, 10 years, and then somebody offer them more money, they'll quit and go join them. The last guy quit and went and got with our competitor, and now the contract we were going for, he's going to win for our competitor. I said, how does that work? He says, well, in corporate, you can leave anytime you want to. I said, in my life as a gang member, you couldn't just quit and just go join the other team and shoot back at us. It never happened. He says, it happens all the time in corporate, Dre. He said, can you teach my people your type of loyalty? So we created a corporate retention program based on gang loyalty.
Wow.
So being loyal wasn't a bad thing. Who you was loyal to was the problem. I'm saying being tough and being able to withstand trauma and treatment in bad times isn't a bad thing. It's just where are you doing it and why are you doing it? I'm saying so.
But it's a two-way street, though, Andre. I mean, if we're going to teach corporate loyalty, then the corporation has to be loyal to the person. It's not one way.
No, you don't. That's the thing. You don't want it to be one way.
That's what I'm saying. It's not one way. It's two ways.
It should be two ways.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it is. It should be, and what we want it to be is two different things. So I can only teach my side. I can't teach integrity. I can't teach. I'm saying community love. I'm saying I can, but corporations aren't learning to learn. They want to learn how to keep their people. That's their focus. Now, I'd love for them to keep their people because they care about them. I think they want to keep their people because they want to make more money. And that's okay. We live in a capitalist society. Money makes the world go around. So I'm going to teach you how to keep your people so you can make more money. Now, in that, you have to, the loyalty, the bond that we have as gang members makes you treat us better. We treat each other better in theory, minus to going to jail and selling drugs. But you take that part out. We're a tight-knit crew. We're all tight-knit. We're in this together. If I got one sandwich, we're cutting it in 4. So the connectivity and the camaraderie and the compassion for each other, if they get the lesson as a corporation, that's part of it.
Right.
It's not tricks and tools to get someone to stay. You actually have to treat them better and show them that you care.
Right. So it's the supervisor and really honoring their team members, and the team members honoring the supervisor. I mean, it's two-way street.
CEO down. CEO, this is a CEO thing. Supervisors don't make the rules or they don't make the culture. They manage it. CEOs make the culture. So I teach CEOs how to create culture that makes people want to stay. My people could stand on a corner, 3 of us get shot and killed, and they'll show up the next day. We can stand on the corner, 10 of us go to jail for life, they'll show up the next day. That's loyalty to a fault. So we just need to take that type of loyalty and shift it into places and spaces where it's not people suffering.
So you work with companies, with CEOs?
We work with CEOs, we work with companies, we work with countries. We go around the world. We've been to Johannesburg, we've been to Kenya, we've been to Saudi Arabia, we've been to Australia, Curacao, Bahamas, Bermuda, Trinidad, Colombia, Mexico, Honduras. When Honduras had the highest murder rate in the world, they called us. So we come in and we help people do things in a better, more efficient way that benefits, again, not just the status quo. How do you make it better for people? But you need somebody who's lived on the bottom to know how to make it better for everybody. If you've never lived on the bottom, it's going to be really hard for you to make it better for everybody because you don't understand a component of the people. Having been on the bottom, I understand the bottom, and that part is never left out.
And that's your core. That's your
Right.
core to be able to help other people.
So Second Chance University is for people coming out of prison, for people coming out of addiction, for people coming out of hateful jobs, for people coming out of bad relationships. We have a whole section to help divorcees. Women are married for 10, 20, 30 years to get divorced. They need a second chance. They need a second opportunity. It's not all criminal justice. It's just human
Mm-hmm.
justice. How do we make
Mm-hmm.
it better for everybody?
Wow. Remarkable. And again, they can go on to Amazon to find your book. You're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram,
Yeah,
YouTube,
YouTube. Yeah, I'm a couple places.
most places.
Yeah.
All right. And my guest today is Andre Norman. His book is Ambassador of Hope, Turning Poverty and Prison into a Purpose-Driven Life. And again, you can find him on Amazon. So when we come back, we're going to talk to Andre about the lessons he's teaching. He talked about some of them, but what are some of the things that he would say to people who are in bad relationships or in jobs that they don't like? What's some of his advice to turning your life around? And that's what we're going to talk about next with Andre Norman. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Show right here on voiceamerica.com. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone, and we are back with this amazing interview with Andre Norman, whose book is Ambassador of Hope, Turning Poverty and Prison into a Purpose-Driven Life. And Andre, my question to you is, for the rest of us, right? For many of us who have not been through the amazing turns and twists in life, raised in poverty, being in a neighborhood gang, being in maximum security prison, but that doesn't make us immune from issues. So many people today are dealing with relationships they're not happy in, or they're dealing with health issues, or they're dealing with money problems and they're really trying, or they're not sure if they're going to keep their job, or they're just, and there's been so much uncertainty in our world, in our country, in our world recently, that you add all that on top. So I guess my question is, what do you say?
When I say to people who are they feel like they're overwhelmed and stress is getting to them and the world is getting to them and they need to like find some type to escape, it's not the outside that's bothering, it's the inside. So I see the upheaval, I see the turmoil, I see the radical changes, I see everything on left to right, but I can stay steadfast because A, I know who Andre is. I know what Andre's purpose is, and I've dealt with all my past traumas. What happens is, if you have not dealt with all your past traumas and issues, every time something happens, what it's really doing is triggering something from your childhood or from your past. And that is what's really causing the discomfort. It's not what's happening, but what does it correlate to? What is it reminding you of? I've had countless people, because I'm really direct, I'm really stern, I'm really assertive. I remind people of people who've beaten them in the past or victimized in the past because I have that personality.
Yeah.
I'm not that person, but I trigger the
Yeah.
remembrance of that bad scenario. So what's happening with people today, when you're being triggered, it's not the thing in front of you, it's the thing that's behind you, that's anchoring you. And I want to help you remove that. So then when you see the thing in front of you, it doesn't upset you as much.
Yeah. How do you do that, Andre? That can be a lifelong process.
Called therapy. I said earlier, therapy, counseling, training. Now you have two options. You can go to therapy with somebody who studied a lot of books and understands the form and formatting of psychology and the brain waves and neural pathways, or you can go to someone who's lived this shit, who's been through this and has come out of it. So I work with kids who are coming out of addiction, who are coming out of depression, or people who are just coming out of bad marriages, and we have real conversations about what's really bothering them. And oftentimes you go into a professional setting, the white jacket, the leather couch, the nice office, it's not a setting where you feel comfortable to share. When I get these little white kids from Scottsdale and Montana, they sit with me, they're like, my parents know you. That's the first thing they say. Because they're so used to being in their bubble that
Yes.
they can't imagine their parent would know somebody like me. Then when they start talking to me, they're like, oh, he gets it. No, not that he read about it, not that he took a test on it. He gets it. And if he gets it, he gets me. And the connectivity was allows them the free to let out this stuff. Most of the stuff that's bothering you is stuff that you won't let go of and you won't share your way out of. So it's not just an Andre thing. There are experience-based therapists that can help you process. Then there's evidence-based therapists with degrees from the best universities, and they can help you understand it. I don't want to help you see this coping, and then it's healing. Therapists help you cope. I'm going to help you heal.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, is part of your Second Chance University around that? I mean, I know you're not a therapist, but is there a part for people who are just having a difficult time?
Yes, 1000%. I remember one time I only work with addiction. I work with all these like addiction people, prison people, or corporate CEOs. And I was taking a flight out of Philadelphia one day, and I got on a plane, and I was flying, and the guy who was at the desk, I asked him to do something for me, and he said, yeah. I got on the plane, and he switched his story. When I got on the plane, he lied on me for the most part, for no reason, but he lied on me. So the flight attendant yelled at me. She made me get to the back of the plane. So I had to walk by this guy. He had just lied on me about, because I asked him, could I upgrade to first class? He said, cool, no problem. Just ask the flight attendant. So I get on the plane. I said, hey, the guy at the counter said to ask you about going to first class. She said, sure. I sit in first class. When he came on the plane to do his walkthrough, she asked him, hey, did you tell this guy to talk to me? I saw his head do this, and he shook it no. And as soon as he went by, she turned on, you lied, get to your seat. So I'm like, as I'm walking by the guy, I got to walk by him now. First, I was mad. Then I was angry. Then I was compassionate and sympathetic. And I sat down. I said, what's the lesson? And the lesson was, he says, Andre, he didn't say this. This is what I heard. Andre, you help people in poverty. You help people in addiction. You help people in prison. You help the corporate rich. What about me? I show up to work every day. I do 10 hours. I make $12.50 an hour, whatever I make. What about guys like me? Why won't you help guys like me? That's what I took from that interaction. And I came out of that space and said, I'm going to create for middle-class America, the people go to work every day, the people who just do everything the right way. Because I'm working with the least of these in the extreme, nobody in the middle. So after that guy lied on me and got my attention, and the lesson was help everybody. So if you're coming out of a factory job, you're coming out of the church, you're coming out of a synagogue or a mosque, I don't care. If you want a second chance and you want experience-based learning, call us. We don't have prerequisites. We don't have, oh, we can't help you. I'll never forget the movie Malcolm X. Great movie. Love the movie. Real inspirational to me. There was a scene when he was walking into a university and a white girl walked up to him and she said, Mr. X, is there anything I can do as a white girl to help the movement? And he said, no. And it's not right or wrong. That's his reality. I would in 2025 say, yes, there's a way you can help. And I'd find a way to help. Because for us to actually get to where we want to be, everybody has to be on board. So we need all voices from all sectors on one deck with one band, one tune. So it's not like I say he was wrong. I would just do it differently.
Yeah. I don't know if this is relevant, but why do you think they lied to you? What do you think the reason was?
Who lied?
When you were going on the plane and he said,
no,
no, I didn't.
The guy, there was no, I'm flying. I asked the counter guy, can I get on first class?
Right.
He said, ask the flight attendant.
Right.
Because I work with the air, I didn't even have to mention his name. I could have just said, hey, I work with the airline. Is there a seat in first class? And it'd have been between me and her. But I got stuck on, I repeated what he said. Oh, he said, he just for some reason felt some reason to lie.
I see.
It wasn't any, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was pain. Maybe it was frustration. Maybe I was just the number one guy. I don't know. And the lady's response, she probably was on 5 flights that day. And I was the 6th flight of the day. And she was just over the line. And that one lie, which was meaningless, if she'd have thought about it, she could have said, if he mentioned him or not, he has the right to sit in first class. He didn't need to mention the counter guy. He just happened to. He was a non-factor. So it was less about the circumstance and more about the opportunity to learn something. There's an opportunity to learn something in everything if you're listening. I had to get past frustration. I had to get past anger. I had to get past embarrassment. I had to get past shame. I had to get past, ego to get to the lesson. And that's what I had to do. I had to go through those 5 emotions to get to the lesson. I could have got stuck in, I'm embarrassed. She just yelled at me in public. I'm frustrated. He lied on me. I got to sit in the back of the plane now. I'm mad. I could go through the whole checklist. I go through the checklist, but my therapy and counseling has taught me, keep going. And once you get past all the bad feelings, there's a good one down there. And the good one was, there's a lesson. And that lesson has helped me help millions of people that I would have never reached out to.
Well, and you also have compassion. I think you give people grace, right?
I want to give them I wanted to hook off on them first. Then I got the grace later.
Yeah, but you didn't. You got to you ended in grace, which is really important.
It used to be, when something would happen, my first response would be violence. My second response would be violence. My third response would be violence. And it was the first 5 was all violent. Therapy has taught me to be patient and give it a minute. You know what I'm saying? And then it used to be, I get violent thoughts and take 10 minutes to get to the next one. Then 10 minutes to get to the next one. So I'd be mad for an hour. Now it takes 0.0 seconds to get from mad to mad to mad to mad to solution. I still get mad, but I get to solution a lot faster.
What would you like to leave our listeners with, Andre? What's your message?
My message is wherever you are and wherever you're listening, there's a reason and there's a purpose. Today is our day to meet and to share this concept of you can be better. If I can go from the basement of a prison to working at the White House, working at Harvard, to working inside of the Pentagon and traveling to over 30 countries, then what can you do with the same support and help? You just got to make up your mind first, then ask for help second. And the help is here. Patricia's committed to help you. I've committed to help you. And there's other people committed to help you. But first, make up your mind. Second, ask for help. If I'm the help, reach out. If Patricia's the help, reach out. There's somebody out there who wants to help you, but they can't force you into a better life. We can't punish you into a better life. We have to help you into a better life. And help means collaboration with you. I love you. You're worthy. You're worth it. I'm on here for one reason, to tell you that I see you, that I hear you, that I want to help you. And if not me, then let somebody else help you. It doesn't have to be me. It just means you have to get help. And it doesn't have to be today. It's when you're ready. If today's not your day and next week is your day, call next week. If next month is your day, call next month. It's not when I'm ready. It's when you're ready. I've committed the rest of my life to helping. So just get to me before I die. That's all I ask. Because after I die, I can't be much more help. I can pray from above. But there's better on the other side. And this isn't your ending. This isn't your lot in life. It's just a pass through. I spent 14 years in prison. I passed through and I kept going. Please don't sit down in your misery. Keep walking.
Oh, all I can say is wow. Thank you. Thank you. And people can find you on Amazon, correct? And you're on all of the social media, and it's Andre Norman, right? And the book, let me just read the book again, is The Ambassador of Hope, turning poverty and prison into a purpose-driven life. And again, he's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. So there's a lot.
I'm gonna come on Voice America? Sign me up. I'll do a podcast on Voice America.
Andre, thank you so much. Stay on the line with me. Thank you so much. It was very, very inspirational. One of the most inspirational interviews that I have done. And I've done a lot of them. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure joining you.
Yeah. All right. Stay on the line a minute. All right, folks, that wraps up this edition of the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show. To find me and get a copy of my newsletter, Patricia at patriciaraskin.com. You'll see all these great guests like Andre on my show in the newsletter. Also, if you would like to get your positive message out, I've interviewed over 6,000 people in my career. I'd love to help you. If you want to have your own podcast, contact me. I can help you set it up, put it together like you're writing a book. And just contact me, Patricia at patriciaraskin.com. Remember, stay healthy, stay happy, get the support you need, and know you can make your dreams come true. Until next time.